Jake Thompson, a 32-year-old architect from Seattle, leaned back in the stiff airport chair, his phone buzzing with a confirmation: Flight 237 to SEA, boarding in 15 minutes. He'd cut his Atlanta business trip short, a rare win after a client deal wrapped early due to a heated contract dispute. Jake saw it as a chance to surprise Emily, his wife of 8 years. They'd been drifting lately, her late nights at the marketing firm, his long hours restoring historic buildings, but he missed her. The kind of missing that made him impulsive, like now, planning a spontaneous morning with her favorite pastries and a lazy weekend reconnecting. He fired off a quick text: "Hey Em, thinking of you. Hope you're ready for a chill weekend." No hint he was already at the gate, no mention he'd be home by dawn. Jake pictured her face lighting up when he walked through the door, the way she used to grin when he'd pull off small gestures like this in their early years. Back then, she'd called him her steady hand, the guy who could fix anything, a crumbling facade or a bad day. He tucked his phone away, grabbed his carry-on, and boarded the red-eye flight, the hum of the plane lulling him into a restless nap. By 6:15 a.m., Jake's Uber pulled into their quiet Seattle neighborhood, the sky streaked with orange. The modern 2-story house they'd bought 3 years ago sat still, its clean lines blending into the row of homes along the street. He tipped the driver, stepped out, and paused at the edge of the driveway, suitcase in hand. Something felt off. The porch light was dark, but a soft glow leaked from the kitchen blinds. Emily usually slept past 8 on Saturdays, her yoga class or brunch plans the only exceptions. It was way too early for either. Jake's brow furrowed as he approached the front door, the faint smell of coffee and something sweet, cinnamon, hitting him. Emily hated cooking. They split kitchen duties or ordered takeout, a routine they'd perfected. Yet here she was, up before dawn making breakfast? He slipped his key into the lock, turning it slowly, not wanting to startle her. The door creaked as it opened, and he stepped inside, his shoes silent on the hardwood. Then he heard it, laughter. Not just Emily's familiar chuckle, but a man's voice, warm and casual, like he belonged there. Jake froze in the entryway, his suitcase landing softly beside him. His pulse quickened, but he didn't call out. Instead, he moved down the hallway, each step deliberate, the laughter growing clearer. It wasn't a neighbor dropping by or her brother visiting from Portland. This was different, too familiar, too comfortable. His stomach twisted as he neared the kitchen, stopping just short of the doorway. The clink of forks on plates, the gurgle of a coffee pot, and then their voices again, easy, like they'd done this 100 times. He leaned forward, just enough to see. Emily stood at the kitchen island, relaxed in her favorite gray hoodie, pouring coffee into 2 mugs. Across from her sat a man, dark hair, dress shirt unbuttoned, leaning back on a stool like he owned the place. Jake's eyes locked onto the man's wrist, a braided leather bracelet with a silver clasp. He knew that bracelet. Emily had given it to her college friend Ryan years ago, after his dad passed. She'd called it a gesture. Said Ryan was like a brother. Jake had believed her. Why wouldn't he? On the counter, next to a tube of red lipstick Emily only wore for nights out, sat her wedding ring. Not on her finger. Not tucked away safely. Just there, abandoned, like a receipt she didn't need anymore. Jake's chest tightened, but Emily didn't flinch when she saw him. No jolt, no wide-eyed panic. Just a calm, "Oh, Jake, you're home early." As if he'd walked in on her folding laundry. Ryan turned, his face draining of color, a fork slipping from his hand to clatter on the plate. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Jake didn't speak. His mind screamed, "How long? Why him? Why here?" But his body stayed still, eerily calm, like a wire had snapped inside. Emily set the coffee pot down, her movements measured. "We're just having breakfast," she said, like it was the most normal thing in the world. Ryan cleared his throat, probably ready to stammer some excuse, but Jake didn't wait. He bent down, grabbed his suitcase, and walked out, the cool morning air hitting him like a slap as he stepped onto the porch. He didn't look back. His legs moved on autopilot, carrying him down the driveway. He fumbled for his phone, still in airplane mode, and stared at the screen, willing it to make sense of what he'd just seen. The sun climbed higher, casting long shadows across the lawn. Inside, Emily was probably pouring Ryan another coffee, maybe laughing off Jake's exit, telling herself he'd come around. But what burned deepest wasn't the sight of them together, it was her calm. She wasn't surprised. She wasn't scrambling to explain. She was comfortable. And that terrified him more than anything. Jake wandered the neighborhood, suitcase trailing behind, until he found himself on a bench outside a closed coffee shop. Dog walkers and joggers passed by, the world waking up while his unraveled. His mind started piecing together clues he'd ignored. 3 months ago, Emily started volunteering at a charity on Wednesday nights. She'd said it gave her purpose. He'd been proud, never asking for details. Then there was the perfume, musky, floral, new. She'd claimed it was a gift from a coworker, brushing it off when he asked. Her phone, too, had started living face down, texts lighting up late at night. She'd said it was work. He'd believed her. Why wouldn't he? Sitting there, the weight of it all pressed in. Not just the betrayal, but his own blindness. He'd trusted her, loved her, built a life with her. And now? Now he needed answers, not from her, but from the truth. He pulled out his phone, remembering the old pet cam they'd set up for their golden retriever, Daisy. It was still plugged in, still connected to a cloud account he hadn't checked in months. If Emily thought he was gone last night, that camera might have caught something. His fingers shook as he downloaded the app, reset the password, and opened the feed. The timestamp read 8:12 p.m. the night before. He hit play. Jake's thumb hovered over the play button, the PetCam app glowing on his phone screen. The timestamp on the footage read 8:12 p.m. the night before he'd walked into his Seattle home to find Emily with Ryan. He was still on that coffee shop bench, suitcase at his feet, the morning bustle of dog walkers and joggers fading into a dull hum. His heart pounded, but he pressed play, the grainy feed flickering to life. Emily appeared first, moving across the kitchen with ease, lighting a candle and dimming the lights. Then the front door opened, and Ryan stepped inside, no hesitation, no glance over his shoulder. He kissed her cheek. She smiled, pouring wine into their anniversary glasses, the ones they only used once a year. They sat on the couch, laughing, her hand brushing his knee. Then a kiss, not quick, not guilty, but slow, practiced. They stood, leaving the frame. The timestamp kept rolling. They were upstairs for an hour and 17 minutes. Jake's grip tightened on the phone. He rewound the footage, watching again, not because he doubted what he saw, but because his brain refused to accept it. The ease of their movements, the routine of it, cut deeper than the act itself. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This was a rhythm, a pattern. He downloaded the clip, saving it to a secure folder, then copied it to a cloud drive. Proof. Not for Emily, for himself, to anchor the truth when doubt tried to creep in later. He stood, dragging his suitcase, and hailed an Uber to his sister's place in Tacoma. The drive was a blur, the city's gray skyline smudging past. His sister, Lauren, didn't pry when he arrived, just hugged him and pointed to the guest room. "Stay as long as you need," she said, leaving him with a mug of coffee in silence. Alone, Jake opened his laptop, his mind racing. The footage was a start, but it wasn't enough. He needed to know how deep this went, how long he'd been blind. First, he dug into Ryan. A quick LinkedIn search pulled up his profile. Ryan Carter, 34, senior strategist at Emily's marketing firm, married, based in Seattle. Jake remembered Emily mentioning him years ago, her college buddy. The guy she'd made that leather bracelet for after his dad's death. "He's like a brother," she'd said. Jake had nodded, trusting her. Now, that trust felt like a blade. He scrolled further, finding Ryan's wife, Laura, tagged in a Facebook post, an anniversary photo captioned, "My forever teammate." The irony stung. Then, a notification pinged on his phone, an anonymous email, subject line, "You deserve to know." The sender, identifying herself as Sarah, claimed she'd worked under Ryan at the firm 2 years ago. She described a pattern, Ryan's charm turning manipulative, blurring professional lines, and Emily discouraging her from reporting it. "She told me it'd ruin my career," Sarah wrote, attaching screenshots of emails where Emily suggested handling it quietly. Jake's stomach churned. This wasn't just personal betrayal, it was professional, calculated. He replied, keeping it brief, "Can we meet? I need details." Sarah agreed, suggesting a busy cafe downtown the next morning. Jake spent the night combing through more clues he'd ignored. Emily's charity nights, every Wednesday, always vague, no address, no name. A hotel charge on their joint credit card from last month, dismissed as a billing error. Her phone, always face down now, buzzing late with texts she'd brush off as work. The new perfume she'd started wearing, musky and floral, when she used to hate strong scents. Each memory was a thread, and pulling them unraveled the life he thought they had. At the cafe, Sarah was already waiting, clutching a coffee, her eyes scanning the room nervously. She was younger than Jake expected, maybe mid-20s, her posture tense but determined. "I saw your name in a company group chat," she said, cutting to the chase. "People talk. I figured you were Emily's husband." She slid a USB drive across the table, loaded with HR complaints, text logs, and emails. "Ryan targeted junior staff," she said. "He'd push boundaries, late-night meetings, personal favors. When I tried to report it, Emily stepped in. Said it'd blow over, that I'd be seen as dramatic. I quit instead." Jake listened, his jaw tight. Sarah's evidence painted a picture. Emily hadn't just cheated, she'd enabled Ryan's behavior, protecting him to protect herself. "There's more," Sarah said. "I'm not the only one. Another coworker, Mia, left last year for similar reasons. She's willing to talk." Jake took the USB, his mind already mapping next steps. Confronting Emily now would give her a stage to spin lies. He needed more, needed to be untouchable. Back at Lauren's, he backed up Sarah's files, encrypting them alongside the pet chem footage. He opened their shared bank account records, spotting more irregularities. Cash withdrawals Emily never mentioned, a dinner reservation under her maiden name. Then, their shared calendar, a weekend marked for a sister's trip to Portland, but Jake recalled her sister posting from California that same weekend. No trip had happened. He added it all to his growing file, each piece a shield against the gaslighting he knew was coming. By evening, Jake made a decision. He wouldn't go back to their house, wouldn't answer Emily's texts, 3 so far, all casual, like nothing was wrong. "Hey babe, you okay?" Followed by grabbing dinner tonight? The audacity twisted his gut. Instead, he called a college friend, Matt, who worked in IT. "I need a secure way to store files," Jake said, no explanation. Matt sent him a tool to encrypt a folder, no questions asked. Jake uploaded everything, footage, screenshots, bank records, to a hidden cloud drive, labeling it Tax Docs 2024, to avoid suspicion. Then he took the next step, a burner phone app and a new email, untraceable. He found Laura's business email. She was a school counselor in Bellevue, and drafted a message, attaching a secure Dropbox link with select pet cam stills and a timestamped summary. "I thought you deserved the truth. I'm sorry," he wrote, signing it anonymously. He hit send, his heart racing but steady. This wasn't revenge, it was accountability. Laura deserved to know, just as he had. Jake leaned back, the weight of the day settling. Emily's calm face in the kitchen flashed in his mind, her ring on the counter, Ryan's ease in his home. But now, Jake wasn't just reacting, he was moving, building a case, protecting himself. The truth was his weapon, and he was only getting started. Jake sat in the dim glow of his laptop, the encrypted folder open, its contents a growing arsenal, pet cam footage, Sarah's USB files, bank records, and a timeline of Emily's lies. He was still at his sister Lauren's place in Tacoma, the guest room a temporary base as he pieced together the betrayal that had upended his life. It was 3 days since he'd walked into his Seattle home to find Emily with Ryan, her wedding ring on the counter, her calm demeanor cutting deeper than any argument could. Now, with Sarah's evidence revealing Emily's role in covering for Ryan's workplace misconduct, Jake knew this wasn't just a personal wound, it was a pattern, deliberate and systemic. He hadn't confronted Emily. Her texts kept coming, each one more calculated. "Hey, you okay? Then miss you, let's talk." He ignored them, letting her words pile up unread. Confrontation would give her a chance to twist the narrative, to cry or deflect. Jake wanted truth, not her version of it. His next move was clear: connect with Mia, the other coworker Sarah mentioned, and solidify the case. He emailed Mia through a burner account, keeping it vague but urgent, I have information about Ryan Carter and Emily Thompson. Can we meet? She replied within hours, suggesting a park near Capitol Hill, neutral ground, tomorrow at noon. The meeting was tense. Mia, a former graphic designer at Emily's firm, sat on a bench, clutching a water bottle, her eyes darting as joggers passed. I didn't want to get involved, she said, voice low. But Sarah told me you're looking into Ryan. She handed Jake a folder, printed emails, performance reviews, and a resignation letter she'd never sent. Ryan pushed boundaries, she said. Late-night mentorship calls, comments that felt too personal. When I raised it with Emily, she said I'd be labeled a troublemaker. I left the firm a month later. Jake scanned the documents, his jaw tight. Emily hadn't just cheated, she'd actively silenced complaints to protect Ryan, maybe to protect herself. Mia's evidence matched Sarah's. Ryan targeted junior staff, and Emily played gatekeeper, discouraging reports to keep the firm's family first image clean. Jake added the files to his encrypted drive, his case growing heavier. Back at Lauren's, he cross-referenced everything, dates, emails, the pet chem footage. A pattern emerged: Emily's charity nights, aligned with Ryan's late-night meetings. A hotel charge on their joint card matched a date Mia mentioned for a team retreat that never happened. Every lie was a thread, and Jake was weaving them into a noose of truth. He needed a safe base, somewhere Emily couldn't track. Using cash, he rented a one-bedroom apartment in a nondescript building near Lake Union, signing the lease as J. Kelly. The place was bare, but it was clean, no trace of Emily's perfume, no echoes of Ryan's laughter. Jake moved his essentials from Lauren's, leaving only a text to let her know he was okay. Then he called a family law attorney, scheduling a consultation for the next day. He wasn't ready to file yet, but he needed options, needed to know how to protect himself when the storm hit. That night, Jake checked Laura's social media, Ryan's wife. Nothing new since he'd sent the anonymous Dropbox link with the pet chem stills. He'd been careful, no graphic images, just enough to show the truth: Emily and Ryan, wine glasses, the kiss, the upstairs absence. He wondered if Laura had seen it, if she was processing her own betrayal. His answer came at 6 a.m. the next morning. A mutual friend texted a screenshot of Laura's latest post, a photo of a wedding ring on a granite counter, captioned, "Some teammates played dirty. Time to clean house." Comments exploded: shock, support, vague hints at infidelity. Laura hadn't named Emily, but the implication was clear. The post was going viral, shared across Seattle's tight-knit community pages. Jake's phone buzzed again. "Emily. We need to talk." "Where are you?" He didn't reply. Instead, he opened LinkedIn, checking Emily's firm. A new statement was pinned: "We are aware of recent concerns and are conducting an internal review." By noon, Emily's profile was gone from the company page. Suspended, maybe fired. The fallout was starting, and Jake hadn't said a word. He leaned back, a strange calm settling. This wasn't about revenge. It was about consequences, ones Emily and Ryan had built themselves. But there was more to uncover. Jake dug into their shared email, finding a hotel confirmation under E. Bailey, Emily's maiden name, for a weekend she'd claimed was a sister's trip to Portland. The contact number wasn't hers. He called it, heart pounding. A man answered, Ryan's voice, unmistakable. Jake hung up, adding the confirmation to his file. Then he checked their shared calendar, another sister's trip, scheduled next month. But Emily's sister had posted from California during the last one. No Portland. No sister. Just lies. Jake met his attorney, a sharp woman named Carla, in a downtown office. He laid out the basics: the affair, the footage, Sarah and Mia's evidence. "I don't want to fight," he said. "I want out clean, with proof she can't twist." Carla nodded, outlining steps: secure financial records, freeze joint accounts, prepare to serve papers. "You've got a strong case," she said. "The footage and witness statements could protect you if she contests." Jake left with a plan, his resolve hardening. Back at the apartment, he got another email from Sarah. "Mia and I are meeting with HR tomorrow. We're naming Ryan and Emily. Others might come forward." Jake replied, "I'm with you. Keep me posted." The net was tightening, not just around Emily's affair but her professional complicity. Jake wasn't orchestrating the fall, he was documenting it, ensuring the truth wouldn't bend. He saved every file again, triple-checking the encryption. Emily's latest text came through. "Jake, please. I'm worried." He stared at it, then powered off his phone. Let her worry. He was done playing her game. Jake sat in his sparse Lake Union apartment, the glow of his laptop illuminating the encrypted folder that held his lifeline, pet cam footage, Sarah and Mia's documents, bank records, and a meticulously crafted timeline of Emily's betrayal. It had been 5 days since he'd sent the anonymous Dropbox link to Laura, Ryan's wife, exposing the affair with undeniable stills from the night before Jake's early return to their Seattle home. Laura's viral social media post, a wedding ring on a counter with the caption "Some teammates play dirty," had set off a firestorm, rippling through community pages and reaching Emily's marketing firm. Jake hadn't spoken to Emily, ignoring her texts that shifted from feigned concern to frustration. "Jake, where are you? We need to talk." He wasn't ready for her stage, her tears, her half-truths. He was building a fortress of evidence, and the walls were closing in. The firm's internal review moved fast. By midweek, Emily's profile vanished from their website, replaced by a vague statement about upholding values. Sarah texted Jake from a burner number, "Emily's out. Suspended, maybe fired. HR's digging deeper." Jake nodded to himself, saving the message. This wasn't his doing, it was the truth catching up. But the professional fallout was only part of it. Sarah and Mia's meeting with HR had sparked more. 2 other former employees, Lena and Tara, came forward with similar stories about Ryan's manipulative behavior and Emily's role in silencing complaints. Their evidence, texts, emails, and meeting logs, piled onto Jake's growing file, sent securely through encrypted channels. Jake met his attorney, Carla, again, this time to finalize divorce papers. He handed her a flash drive with the petcam footage, financial records, and a summary of Sarah, Mia, Lena ascendancy, a novel, Lena, and Tara's statements. "I want a clean exit," he told Carla, voice steady. "No contest, no drama, just the truth on record." She reviewed the files, her eyes narrowing at the footage. "This is strong," she said. "If she fights, you're covered." Jake instructed her to include the footage with the papers, not to hurt Emily, but to ensure she couldn't rewrite the narrative. Carla scheduled a courier to serve Emily the next morning, a Thursday, at their Seattle home. Jake didn't plan to be there. He wanted distance, not confrontation. That night, Jake scoured their shared digital footprint for more evidence. In their joint email, he found another hotel confirmation under Emily's maiden name. E. Bailey. For a weekend she'd claimed was a work conference. The phone number listed wasn't hers. He dialed it, heart pounding, and hung up when Ryan's voice answered. Another lie, another nail. He added it to the timeline, along with a screenshot of Emily's calendar marking a work trip that coincided with her sister's social media posts from another state. Every piece tightened the case, shielding him from the inevitable gaslighting. The next morning, as the courier delivered the divorce papers, Jake was at a diner near his apartment, sipping coffee and scanning news sites. Local blogs were buzzing about the scandal, linking Laura's post to Emily's sudden exit from the firm. Some posts included blurred stills from the pet cam. Laura must have shared them. The images were vague but damning. Emily and Ryan, wine glasses, a kiss caught mid-frame. The caption read, "Married men make terrible secret keepers." Jake's name wasn't mentioned, but the story was out, spreading like wildfire. He felt no triumph, only a quiet resolve. This was accountability, not vengeance. By afternoon, Sarah emailed, HR's escalating to the board. Ryan's on leave, effective immediately. Lena and Tara's statements had corroborated Sarah and Mia's, painting Ryan as a serial boundary crosser and Emily as his enabler. The firm's family first reputation was crumbling, and they were cutting ties to save face. Jake saved the email, encrypting it alongside the rest. He checked his phone, 7 unread texts from Emily, 3 voicemails. The latest message read, "Jake, please. I'm sorry. Let's fix this." He powered off the phone. Her apologies were too late, too hollow. Then came a break. Sarah forwarded a message from a whistleblower group chat, A former colleague had tipped off the district attorney about Ryan's workplace misconduct, citing multiple credible accounts. Jake met Sarah and Mia at a quiet park bench to strategize. "We're filing a formal complaint," Mia said, her voice firm. "Ryan's done, and Emily's complicity is on record." They'd submitted their evidence to the DA, and Jake added his findings, anonymized, focused on facts, not feelings. Within days, news broke: Ryan Carter arrested for workplace harassment and coercion, pending investigation. Emily was named a witness, not a suspect, but her role was undeniable. Her career, already damaged, was in freefall. Jake stayed under the radar using his J. Kelly alias to cover tracks. He froze their joint accounts, as Carla advised, and hired a private document service to retrieve legal records, marriage license, mortgage agreements, insurance policies, all sent to a P.O. box he'd set up. Every move was calculated, quiet, ensuring Emily couldn't twist the story. He checked Laura's social media again. A new post, a single line: "Truth wins." Comments poured in, some calling out Emily by name, others speculating about the firm's cover-up. The scandal had jumped from community pages to regional news, a cautionary tale of trust and betrayal. That evening, Jake walked along Lake Union, the water calm, the city's hum distant. He wasn't gloating. There was no joy in watching Emily's world collapse. But there was relief, a weight lifting. The truth wasn't just his anymore. It belonged to Sarah, Mia, Lena, Tara, Laura, and everyone Ryan had wronged. The divorce papers, served with the flash drive, were his final word to Emily. He didn't need her explanations. He had the footage, the documents, the timeline, proof that couldn't be undone. 6 months had passed since Jake served Emily the divorce papers, a flash drive of pet-cam footage tucked inside, exposing her affair with Ryan and her role in covering his workplace misconduct. The fallout had been swift and brutal. Emily's marketing firm ousted her, Ryan faced arrest for coercion and harassment, and their scandal rippled through Seattle's social and professional circles. Jake had stayed silent, letting the truth do the talking. Now, in a small coastal town near Portland, Oregon, he was rebuilding, one deliberate step at a time. Jake had finalized the divorce without a fight. Emily didn't contest, perhaps too drained or too exposed to try. The papers were signed quietly, delivered to his attorney, Carla, via courier. Jake kept his Lake Union apartment until the settlement cleared, then moved to this sleepy town of weathered boardwalks and salty air. He'd taken a job restoring a historic lighthouse, a project that felt like a mirror to his own life, fixing what was broken, preserving what could endure. The work was steady, grounding, and far from the chaos he'd left behind. He hadn't spoken to Emily since that morning in their Seattle kitchen, her wedding ring on the counter, Ryan's laughter filling the air. Her texts had stopped weeks ago, replaced by silence. Social media told a different story. Her profiles went private, her posts vanished. Friends whispered she'd moved to Spokane, starting over in a smaller firm, her reputation in tatters. Jake didn't check, didn't care to. The truth had done its work. Laura's viral posts, Sarah and Mia's complaints, the DA's investigation. Ryan's case was ongoing, his career and marriage destroyed. Emily, named a witness, faced no charges but carried the weight of her choices. Jake's new life was simple. He rented a modest one-bedroom near the harbor, paid cash to keep his name off records. His days were filled with blueprints, salt-worn beams, and the rhythmic crash of waves. He started walking the beach at dawn, phone off, letting the quiet sink in. No more encrypted folders, no more burner emails. He'd kept the evidence, petcam footage, Sarah's files, bank records, locked in a secure cloud drive, not out of paranoia but as a reminder. He wasn't crazy, wasn't wrong. The truth was his anchor. One morning, while grabbing coffee at a tucked-away bookshop, Jake met Liz. She owned the place, a cozy spot stacked with used novels and fresh brews. Their first conversation was about architecture. She'd read a book on coastal lighthouses. He'd just restored one. They talked for an hour, then again the next day. Liz didn't push, didn't pry about his past. She shared stories of her own, running the shop after her dad's passing, finding peace in the margins of old books. They started meeting for walks, then dinners, sometimes just sitting by the ocean, saying nothing. For the first time in years, Jake wasn't bracing for betrayal. He was just present. The past still lingered, though. Sarah emailed occasionally, updating him on the case. Ryan's charges had expanded. More women came forward, their stories echoing Sarah and Mia's. The DA subpoenaed Emily's work emails, uncovering a trail of deflections and cover-ups. Her name stayed in the news, a cautionary tale of complicity. Jake didn't follow the coverage closely, but he read enough to know justice was unfolding, not through his hands but through the system he trusted. He'd sent Laura the truth, connected Sarah with Mia, and stepped back. That was enough. One evening, while sorting lighthouse blueprints, Jake got a text from Lauren, his sister. "You good? Found a photo of us at the cabin, made me smile." She'd been his rock, giving him space without questions. He replied with a photo of the lighthouse, nearly complete, its beacon cutting through the dusk. "Getting there," he wrote. The exchange was small, but it grounded him. Family, work, the ocean, they were his new constants. Then came a surprise. Liz invited him to a bookshop event, a poetry reading by local writers. Jake went, not expecting much, but found himself listening, really listening, as a poet read lines about rebuilding after loss. Afterward, he and Liz walked the boardwalk, her hand brushing his. "You ever feel like you're starting over from scratch?" she asked. Jake nodded. "Yeah, but it's not a bad thing. Feels like a clean slate." She smiled, and they kept walking, the stars sharp above the Pacific. Jake reflected on the journey. He'd walked into his home expecting a reunion, found a stranger instead, and unraveled a web of lies: Emily's affair, her professional deceit, Ryan's predation. He'd gathered evidence, protected himself, and let the truth burn through the lies. It wasn't about revenge. It was about clarity, accountability. The divorce, the scandal, the arrests, they were consequences, not his creation. He'd chosen silence over screams, preparation over confrontation, and it had set him free. Now, standing on the beach, a new blueprint in hand for a community center restoration, Jake felt something shift. The weight of betrayal was gone, replaced by possibility. Liz waved from the bookshop across the street, her shop's sign glowing softly. He waved back, then turned to the ocean, the horizon endless. He wasn't just surviving, he was living, building, whole again.